Alright. Hello and welcome to the Snowbirds meeting room. I'm Shadow Spectre 11 and took a little break from the Snowbirds meeting room because of the Invictus launch week. And it was exciting. Um, DefenseCon is still going on today, and yesterday they dropped the concept of the Ironclad. So, today I'm going to go over some of the news that has dropped. Like, we are going to be getting a new patch, 1A, and that probably won't drop until after launch, Invictus launch week, after the free fly. So, we'll check that out, and then we should be seeing some things for 3.23.2. They're talking about going into Invictus launch week after, Evocati in PTU. So that's going to be very interesting, and we'll see what's going on with that with an accelerated um, wave 1 through 5. So that has the cargo update and the persistent hangars, what we've been waiting for. So I'm just going to switch it over to the scene and start with the major thing that has got everybody excited. Seeing the Polaris and
Roger that, flight. I'm good.
looking at it, seeing the outside of the ship. Now, this is this is the nomenclature and schematic of what the Polaris uh, looked like when it was first pitched. Okay, so this is old, but it's still pretty current. So as we go through the pictures, this is what the Polaris looks like, and it is still pretty accurate. So this is the speech that was given on the commissioning of the Polaris. That's the concept picture, and it is very, very close to what we are going to be getting on the drop for IE this year. Now, they're also talking about on the roadmap, we are now going into the setup for 4.0. It's a beautiful ship. Now, on the ISC, they did show the inside of the Polaris, what they were working on, and also the Ironclad. And that was the last show of the season. They'll be back in on June 20th, and there's going to be one more SCL, I believe, or no, not this week, but then we'll go along with that. And the Polaris is just a gorgeous ship. It is the ultimate ship that I was looking for and waiting for. It is a classic ship. And for those that have any questions or comments, please feel free. Come by, take a look, and see what we have. Hello.
Hey, morning.
Hey, Everett, how you doing?
I am awake, thank you.
That's good. That's good. So,
Is this on? Is this streaming?
yes,
Oh, good. I'm trying to find you.
I'm on the Snowbirds meeting room.
Yep.
So, just going over the Polaris, the actual pitch PDF that has been out there for years. And what we did see in the ISC, it was amazing to see the inside of the ship and what they're going to be doing with it, what they're working on, and things of that nature. Um, I can't wait for this ship. Seeing it in the convention hall was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have your size chart of the bingo carrier, the javelin, the Idris, the Polaris, and then on down to the Aurora. And this is the reason why the Polaris was named the Polaris, in honor of Commander Hester Polaris. And so here's some of the top view with the auxiliary thrusters, the turret, the heat exhaust, main thrusters, side turrets, automated turret in the nose, top turrets, and the missile pods.
Very nice.
Then you have your torpedoes, your torpedo bays, your cargo hold, your torpedo room, cargo access. Now the doors double as a ramp when landed, which is nice. The cargo hold, now this is 216 SCU, which is not bad for this ship. Thank you, Everett. It is, the ship is just gorgeous. It's just a beautiful ship. I can't wait to get in it and fly it. And then the landing gear, standing on the landing gear of the ship inside the hull was like, wow. So this may have changed how they load the missiles, the torpedoes rather. And that was in the ISC. If you want to take a look at it, you can scroll, move forward to get a look at it. And you know what? I'm gonna bring that up. Give me a moment. I'm gonna. Whoops. I got the wrong thing up. Hold on one moment. So YouTube. And go to Star Citizen. The Ironclad.
This is the thinnest
Yes.
armor ever.
Yeah.
Introducing Hyper
It's part 2 of our Invictus Launch Week coverage as we look beyond the event to the new
Move forward to the Polaris walkthrough. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Show it off in its best light.
Hello.
We pushed quite hard to get the exterior to a point
What's
where
up,
we're
Mike?
happy to show it.
So, with this specific ISC, it was named Ironclad as rad, but they also wanted to show what was going on the inside of the Polaris, and it's exciting. I can't wait for this to drop. I'm just gonna say it, but the main thing is when this drops, we should be in 4.0 with static server meshing. We are that close. And hopefully, I am crossing my fingers that hopefully we will get a tech preview before this kicks over. It's
Yeah,
gonna.
I think it's.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say it's also important to remember that the release of the Polaris is not tied exactly to the release of 4.0. This is an important distinction. The chance, like, they'll probably be at the same time, but there's a chance they won't.
Right. The Polaris. They're talking about Q3 for the drop of 4.0. So that's what, August, late September.
Yeah, I believe late September. So October, November, December. Yeah, be late Q3 would be September.
Mm-hmm.
Early would probably be July, August, September. Yeah, between July and September. My money's on late September, early Q4 though.
Right.
Knowing CAG, they're not afraid to push things back if they need to.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And that's okay. And there was a change in the price of the Ironclad. Hold on. The Ironclad Assault went up to $535 instead of $525 from yesterday. CCU price history. Interesting. They updated it. Okay. So I was very, very excited to see this walkthrough of the Polaris, and it was amazing.
Publicly,
this meant we've prioritized doing the exterior over the interior. So the exterior
Well,
you
it made
see
your
is
day.
pretty much final art. All it is missing is really the damage setup, as I'm sure people have tried to do. It is currently invulnerable, or hopefully invulnerable in game.
visually, I think not only have we been trying to get it out so we can show
Crew
it,
members
but we've
just
also
had
tried to kind
gold.
of really push the quality of the exteriors of some of our.
I'm sorry, Everett. Go ahead.
How many crew members does it hold, the Polaris?
The ship is 12, I believe. I'll have to look at the schematic again.
Kind of like large capital ships. And what
It's
that
okay,
has
I'm
meant is
looking.
that we needed to focus a few more artists than what we'd normally put on the exterior of a ship, just to make sure we kind of hit that quality bar and we hit it on time. It's pretty close to being Lot Zero, which means that the majority of the main modeling's done. There's still a whole bunch of decal work, the finer details, what we call as pond details, pass needs to be done, and that really kind of helps to elevate the kind of like the close read. I think the distance read and the mid reads are like brilliant, and to be fair, the close read when you get up and personal is looking really, really good. It's just we've still got that kind of like final sprinkle of polish to go on.
With the focus on the exterior and pushing that as far as we could in the time we had, the interior is not quite as far along. It is more around the grey box stage, but the people we'd put on the exterior now will be moving on to the interior.
Normally on a vehicle, as we try to kind of keep the development stages in line throughout the kind of like the life cycle of its development, it means that the interior isn't, you know, it's not at the same level that the exterior is.
We've been focusing on the core traversal areas of the ship.
The majority of the rooms have now been worked up. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 rooms that are still in white box that still need, you know, a decent amount of kind of modelling and work doing to them. But the rest of the rooms now are kind of getting to the point where we're pretty close to grey box.
So the bridge, the main corridors, the hab area, the cargo bay, torpedo rooms, and all the turrets. So these are a bit further along than some of the more secondary rooms like the brig and the medical bay.
When you think of the Polaris, like its key points are the torpedoes. And I think that's been an area that has needed quite a lot of iteration on, and we're not quite there yet. One of the things that we're kind of really trying to make sure feels good from a player's point of view is the kind of like the loading of the torpedoes and seeing them kind of be from in your cargo hold to being in the kind of like loading mechanism and then being ready to fire. So on the kind of like lower deck and front half of the vehicle, we've got these big torpedo loaders. And that's an area that it's needed quite a lot of iteration to make sure it feels right. And we are still in that process. It's not kind of fully signed off. We're not completely happy with that area, but it certainly kind of makes up the heart of the ship. Otherwise, on the interior, the main upper deck is kind of really starting to come on. The engineering section is another kind of area that I think is really important in our capital ships and kind of getting to a level that we're happy with. From the kind of concept into production, we have opened up the bridge of the ship a little bit. One of the things we wanted to do was when you kind of enter onto the bridge, this should feel kind of like super exciting and super rewarding to the player. If they've managed to kind of get one of these ships, we want it to feel like they are kind of really living that kind of military life dream. So we've spent a bit of time kind of opening it up, giving some nicer views as you kind of enter onto the bridge itself. What we really wanted to do was kind of make sure that the player views are good, the captain gets a great kind of view out the front, and make sure that navigating around that area, especially as kind of more and more kind of multi-crew gameplay systems come online, we want to make sure that there's enough space on that bridge to have not just the captain and the pilot, but a whole crew there.
Compared to the concept mesh, one not big change, but unresolved area was the hangar opening. It's quite a complex shape to open, so we spent a lot of time working on that, but that's all resolved. And then another thing we are looking at in the future is actually doing some more upgunning of the turrets. So it is not just a...
Now, that right there was a lot of things going on with saying that, the Perseus has more firepower, which it does because it is a ship just for that purpose, where the Polaris was a torpedo ship. But one thing that I am glad that they did was up the turrets on this ship, because of the fact this ship is going to be attacked, okay? And it needs to defend itself, not with just torpedoes or anything like that. It does need a point defense. So I'm glad that they added this to this ship. She's going to be formidable. She's going to be formidable.
The way I look at it is, I feel like the Polaris is a bit of a Victory class Star Destroyer of the Star Citizen universe. So it's of the capital sizes, it's literally actually probably one of the most lower sized ships. I mean, the Javelin's bigger, the obviously the Bengal carrier is bigger, but when you have a ship that size, just doing torpedoes alone isn't enough. You're going to have turrets.
Exactly. And by the way, welcome back. You haven't been on the show for a while. And you've taken a break and stuff like that. And this was, I took a couple weeks off because of Invictus, and I brought it back because we're winding down from Invictus, and this was to catch up on week's news for 2 weeks. So I'm going to be going through all the ships and stuff like that have dropped, and going over some old concepts. So I'm glad you're here, Mike. And Everett, I know you don't get to stop in very often, so it's cool. So I'm glad you're here.
Nice to see you guys.
Yep, we always
torpedo.
And just to kind of address, there's a lot of personal things in my life that's going on that I have to handle, and that's why I'll be absent from here to there.
Yeah.
And there may be weeks I'm not around, just because of life. There's I don't want to get too much into detail, but obviously Shadow knows and the work knows what's going on. So, but I'll leave it at that, and then move on to what I really want to kind of, after the video, touch base on the predictions we made last year.
Yeah.
And then talk about where we're at now.
Yeah.
Boat, it can sort of hold its own against other capital ships with its turrets. You'll see more of that as we get closer to releasing it, which we are aiming for at IAE this year.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Drake Ironclad...
We are done with that. Do you guys want to take a look at the Ironclad real quick?
Yeah.
While we got it up.
I agree with Mike Salty Mike's opinion on this situation here. The Ironclad is probably going to be the best trade ship released because it was conceived and developed. Sorry, guys. We have an unruly chihuahua. It was conceived and created after the updated
Cargo refractor.
cargo refractors and all of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's built for what the game is. Everything else was built on concept of what the game is.
True.
Yeah.
Very
so like
true.
ships like the C2 will have to find a better niche on what they're transporting.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be as cargo-y. It'll probably be more vehicle-y related stuff. Thoughts that, and I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, it's like a Hull C killer, but like, no.
No.
Because
No.
the Hull C is dedicated to interstellar trade. It's dedicated to station stuff. And if you think about it, you buy large bulk items and move them across. You get more exploration out of it. At least the Ironclad will be able to land on ground, which is really cool.
Right.
And I gotta hand it to him. I think that the Ironclad is an S tier trade ship for sure.
Right. I intend to get an Ironclad. I won't do it right away, but I do want to get the civilian version, and then eventually go to the armored variant. But
Oh yeah.
right now, it's a decision that I've been thinking about for the past couple days since I saw the ISC, and I will eventually, get the ship, but it will give me a Caterpillar, and I already have a Caterpillar in game. So when that one goes away in game, eventually, because we probably, most definitely, I think we're going to get a massive wipe when 4.0 comes.
We should, honestly. I mean, when you're talking about any major tech enhancement, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Shaved, welcome. So what I will do, since I already have a C2 that is pledged, I will get Ironclad, and that way I will have the Cat as my pocket carrier until the Ironclad drops, and then eventually I will get an Arastra, so I'll have a higher tier mining ship. But that one, I have a mole in game right now, so when that one gets, yeah, go.
We have officially the SCU count. We were all pretty much on target. Cargo capacity is 1536.
They did up it. It's official now?
Yeah, that's what's written here on the RSI pledge store.
Okay.
Is cargo capacity 1536 for the standard, 1152 for the assault.
Right.
Right.
It's a min 1 person, max 6 person.
Mm-hmm.
Its length is 120 meters, beam 52, height 20. So it's 120 meters long, 52 meters wide, 20 meters tall.
Yeah.
To compare that,
I'm gonna go over the specs as well. I'm gonna bring the spec sheet up so we'll see it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, sorry, I just saw that and I got excited.
no worries. If we want to take a look at this real quick and just jump through and point out stuff that we see, it's cool. So I'm gonna roll this a little bit.
John Crew to talk about it now.
Yeah, there was one thing
in the
Mike,
Star Citizen universe,
Salty Mike
we have
was
a lot of
saying
cargo
is that
ships.
the top part
They're
has
sort
to
of
open up,
concentrated
otherwise
around the
it's
lower end of
defeated the
cargo
purpose.
holding, sort of the
But it looks like from
low
that picture
hundreds
on the
SU.
brochure,
Yeah.
the top part is open on
Yeah.
the roof. So,
Yes. The roof is retractable.
Yeah, and he is correct. It should be retractable.
On both, as a matter of fact, which
I think it is on both.
makes it even more. This ship is going to be very valuable because your civilian version can be a transporter of vehicles, ships, and things of that nature, and do cargo. Okay, your military variant has a repair bay in it, so that is going to be a very valuable ship. So it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. It's what you want. It's what everybody wants to have their different thing. But it's far off. It's not going to be in game. I'd say for a year and a half, maybe 2. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption.
So, I mean, it's going to be an awesome ship when it drops. So,
You and below, and the very high end where there's multi-thousands. There's a mix of cargo ships which have their cargo on the inside, ones on the outside.
I wonder
like the
if it's got
Hull
extra
series.
shielding.
We really
for
want to
this,
bring
for
something
the,
different where it's
flares
sort of
that happen
sits
in
right in the middle.
Pyro.
It's a nice progression step, and for
you know what? That's a good question. Because the solar flares in Pyro will give you electromagnetic issues. So, this, you know what? The Terrapin would be ideal for Pyro because it has the extra shielding, you know? And I think they're going to have to compensate for that purpose because when we go to Pyro, we're going to be very vulnerable to those things. So, that's just my thought.
facilitates both internal and external loading of cargo, which is where the Drake Ironclad comes in.
And here we go with the commercials. If you've been to Star Hangar, it's definitely worth it.
Oh, just use Brave.
Brave.
If you want. Yeah, it's a browser based on Chromium, but it gets rid of
The ads?
ads. Yeah.
So
Oh.
the Drake Ironclad is the
You have to send
kind of
me a link.
next step up for
Yeah.
the Drake cargo ships. It kind of builds on what the Caterpillar brings, but in
In fact,
a
that's what I
much
use when I
larger
watch your
form.
stuff.
The Drake
Brave,
Ironclad
so I don't
is
have any ad
a
issues.
6-person multi-crew
That's what I did
armored
everywhere, 'cause, like,
freighter. A large proportion of the ship
Features
is
get ridiculous with ads.
Yeah.
dedicated to the
Fill your
cargo
profit
bay
from
at
ads,
the front
like-
of it, which has both a front ramp for loading and unloading cargo and small vehicles on the ground, as well as a retractable roof for doing that in space with EVA as well.
Little tight entrances to cargo ships doesn't necessarily lend itself to when you're out in deep space and you're trying to
Not as
quickly
good.
move some cargo
Memory
from one
heavy.
person's ship into your ship. Really, you want as much kind of access to be able to do that.
I
as
can't hear
possibly
you,
can.
Mike.
So by having
You can't hear me.
I can now.
Oh.
What? What's up?
Oh no, I was just saying that it's less memory heavy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Chrome is a hog.
in this kind of much larger opening on top of the ship, it allows us to kind of bring cargo in much easier.
So its role being a sort of armored freighter comes from 2 distinct ways. One, the cargo itself is more protected. It's within the cargo bay that has the armored roof section that covers it. So unlike, say, a Hull C where the cargo's on the outside, you can load it from the outside but then protect it with the Ironclad.
It's also more heavily armored than the Caterpillar, so it kind of gives a little bit more security to your kind of precious cargo.
The exterior, very classic Drake brutish styling, a whole lot of engines and a lot of framework and quite thin structural elements support the rest of the ship. Very bare bones styling. It doesn't have lots of nice padding. It's all there and exposed, and it's really just sort of rugged and to the point. So the Ironclad is really 3 distinct areas. You have all the accommodation in the rear sort of third of the ship. front 2/3 is really just this cargo bay with the front entrance and the retractable roof. And then you have the command module, which has seats for the crew plus a few little jump seats for everyone else. Command module is there to steer the ship when it's attached, and the command module serves as the escape pod as well. The only time you really want to detach it is in an emergency. It's not designed to be your sort of primary ship flying around.
It kind of gives you a little bit of a get out of jail free card if you're transporting stuff that is quite valuable, quite sought after in maybe some of our less desirable systems. What it allows you to do is kind of have a little bit of security. So if you're getting attacked or you're getting yourself into trouble, if you want to save yourself, you can kind of jettison your cargo and try and get out of dodge and kind of get out to safety. And I think that's like a really important thing as we get closer to Death of a Spaceman.
With some of the recent tech that's come online, this brought us one step closer to implementing command modules properly. So not only will you see this detachable command module feature on the Ironclad, but as well it will happen on the Caterpillar.
Interior-wise, you've kind of got two entrances onto the ship. You can either enter via the command module, and that takes you straight into a kind of corridor section. It's kind of like almost like a mezzanine. You can either go up to the habitation area, which is the top floor of the ship, gives you like super nice views out both the kind of cargo out the front and the rear of the ship, or you can kind of come down the ship into the main habitation area. Alternatively, you can enter through the dock and collar airlock, which is on the opposite side of the ship. At the rear of the interior of the ship, we've kind of got the heart of the engines. It's the big kind of engineering area where we've got all of the kind of main functional components needed for moving such a large ship. And then if you kind of come slightly further forward, got we call it the kind of like the command deck. It's not a bridge, you can't fly the ship from it, but it's where you operate the tractor beams. It's where it kind of gives you good views out over the front and into space. You've got the tractor beam turrets, but also visually you can kind of stand in this area or sit in this area and look out over the front and over the bow of the ship and kind of really see what you're trying to pull in or what you're trying to capture into your cargo hold. As we come downstairs, we've got a little kind of covered area at the rear of the cargo hold, and that is where you can store a couple of small ground vehicles or some of your equipment for moving vehicles and cargo around. And then you're into the main cargo hold of the ship, and this takes up the majority of the interior space, is this large cargo hold. One of the things that we were kind of really keen to do was give lots of different views and different angles down into this cargo hold. Again, as we're exploring slightly less lawful systems, we wanted to give the players as much opportunities as we can to kind of be safe aboard their own ship. So either side of the cargo hold, we've got these gantries that run completely front to rear on the ship, and they give great view down into your cargo bay. They also give that opportunity of if there's someone tries to board you via the cargo bay, it gives you some nice cover opportunities. And we've also got a few little windows that kind of look down into it as well. As you move to the kind of like the very front, the very nose of the ship, those gantries lead into a kind of secure cargo area. It's somewhere that's a little bit more difficult to get to when you kind of enter the ship. The big thing we were referencing when we were looking at it was this idea of police evidence rooms. And so these kind of individual cages where you could put your most secure cargo, whatever it might be, in this area, and it would make it quite difficult to try and breach in or out of that area. So it gives us just somewhere a little bit more secure for kind of smaller cargo items. Finally, at the very front, we've got access to one of the main turrets and the tractor beam turret.
The biggest attraction for me with it is just the versatility of the cargo space. From a good citizen law standpoint, it is a cargo ship, but also that retractable roof and the tractor beams on board it give it some less legal opportunities for perhaps taking other people's cargo ships in space and on the ground. At the time of recording, we're also exploring a more military-themed variant of the Ironclad. It doesn't have a name yet, so we'll just call it the Drake Ironclad Assault. Compared to the base ship, this has been developed to support ground assault operations. It has additional turrets covering the upper and lower surfaces to provide more fire support. And the front section of the cargo area has been redesigned to enable our largest vehicles in game to be deployed from it, such as the tank. In addition, the cargo bay has been reduced in size to facilitate an onboard repair facility. So for those of you who want to have a journey in the cargo profession, traditionally you would start out in something, say like a Hull A. The next step up from there really is sort of into Drake Caterpillar territory. So you're doing roughly an 8 to 10 times jump in cargo capacity. From there, the Ironclad sits nicely between those smaller ships and the much larger bulk carriers such as the Hull C, and then ultimately you get to things like the Hull D, E, and Kraken at the end of the cargo career.
You said Kraken.
Yes.
Is that a hint at anything?
It's not a hint at anything, but making the Ironclad makes the Kraken easier.
So building out the Ironclad does, of course, kind of help us with building out the Kraken. I think increasing that visual library of assets that we can pull from and use in a Drake manufacturer at the right scale is super valuable for when we move on to the larger ships.
Of course, in non-Drake related news,
Okay, so that's the ISC on the Ironclad and the interior of the Polaris. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one out and go into the nomenclature of the next ship that dropped during IE. Well, not a ship actually, but it is the medevac. This was something that Mike and I talked about last year. We have always said that if there was a Ursa medevac, a medevac ground vehicle, that it would be amazing.
That's right.
And it's finally here. This thing is awesome. I have used it, I have tested it out, and it's just a great vehicle. I have a video that I'm working on for it to show the features of it and the inside mechanics of things, so I'm still working on that. But this was a much needed ground vehicle for the game. And at first, we all know that the med beds were kind of on the ships that were stuck to the 890 jump and the Carrack, where you could respawn. Well, with this vehicle dropping, we now have more med beds to respawn in. The Cutlass Red at one time had regen in it, and then it was taken out. So the Carrack and the 890 jump were the only med beds you could respawn in on a ship. But now your C8R, your Cutlass Red, and this have med beds. It's definitely a vehicle worth purchasing. If you decide to wait in game, you can wait for it to come in game. But it's amazing, and I was ecstatic. I was like, no way, that's got to be a glitch, right? No, they actually said it. So there it is. One of the premier vehicles, one of the premieres of today for the Ursa medevac, which has been nicknamed the Nursa or the MRSA, either way. So let's move on to the next one that dropped, and we had to wait almost this one dropped on Friday. We had to wait till Tuesday, and there's one more that dropped before that. I apologize. And that was this one that dropped on Friday as well. The MPUV tractor. Now I have one currently for maybe a few more days. But if this you can pick up a vehicle and carry it from one place to another. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'm going to have to try it out and see. But that's pretty slick. If it can carry a vehicle from uh say a moon to a ship in orbit and set it down like the Carrack and set it down or something like that or whatever, that'd be awesome. But we'll see. We'll see how that works. Um, it really doesn't make sense to do it, you know, for a Carrack or something like that because you've got your C8R that goes in the hangar bay. But it's still a cool idea, and it's basically set up for cargo, so it has two tractor beams, one in the front and one in the rear. So that's this one that dropped. Then you've got another one that dropped on Tuesday, which was the Firebird. Now, this ship is going to get an update. As we know, it's going from 12 missiles to 24. So your size 3s may be reduced to size 2s. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. Um, if it goes down to size 2, you can put rattlers on it. But I don't see if they did size 3 missiles and raised it to 24, the body of the ship would change. The structure. So I don't see that happening. Uh, but this ship is very quick. She is fast. She will fight you in Atmo. She will give you a hard time. But she's amazing in space. Very maneuverable. Very very quick, very stealthy, and this ship is getting a update on the stealth capabilities from 20% to 40%. So there's going to be a change there as well. All right. This is a great ship. Weapon, I'm going to say this, the weapons on the front, now I've tried the ballistics and I've tried cannon energy weapons. So I've tried the cannons. They're slow on the recharge and the fire rate. So I may put something else on that and I'll try that out. I'm gonna make a video on this one as well in combat. Plus I'm trying to get another one done for the F7A. All right, so
Nice. It'd be nice if you can mix and match them, like ballistics and energy.
you could you could put uh, a distortion weapon on it
Oh, okay.
on one side, and then you can put another a ballistic on the other. So it is interchangeable that way. You can put, say, you want to put a distortion on this side, and then keep a ballistic here. So you have the best of both worlds. You could put an energy weapon on one side. You could put a ballistic on one side. It's solely up to you. But like I say, there's different variations, and I'm going to try out a few things and then make a determination on my opinion. You know what's best for me, and I'll run a demo on it. So we've gone through this one. We've gone through the medevac, and now this one. No worries, Mike. The Mark One. This is a big one. The we've already got the Mark Two, and we got that in the last patch, and it was the kind of the premier ship for the Overdrive initiative. The Mark One is going away. You can still earn the ship, but they haven't revealed the details yet. But you will not be able to buy this ship in game. You will not be able to buy it from the store. It is becoming a rarity. So, if you would like to purchase the ship now, you have the option. If you had the ship before the announcement of this, you got a special paint with it. I've flown this ship. It was a really cool ship to fly. It's not one of my favorites, but it is a ship that was, when I did take it out and I took it into Arena Commander and got a kind of a feel for it, it's a very formidable ship. When I first had it, I had the Heartseeker when I first started playing, and I got my butt handed to me because I wasn't used to the ship. But it will get better with time. So there you have your options. If you want the ship, you might want to get it now before it disappears out of the store. And you have plenty of options to pick. The next one that I'm going to go to, and this was a big one as well. The Retaliator. She now has modularity. So it was a very, very interesting and intricate setup. People have been waiting for the Retaliator to have its modularity for a long time. And last year on I believe it was IAE where they were talking about ships, that's when they revealed that they got the modularity to work for the Retaliator. That they finally got it set up. So here's your nomenclatures.
I'm back.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back.
So you've got your different modules. You've got a stern module and you have a bow module. So you have your choice. You've got your cargo capacity of 38 SCU. You have the torpedo module with 4 size 9s. And then these are concept modules here, a personnel module and a dropship module. Now the dropship module would be pretty cool. So you can also do, these are active, the cargo module and the torpedo module. 2. So you can make this a cargo ship with the 2 modules for bow and stern. Then you have your torpedo modules, which you can put 2 in the stern and 4 in the bow. And then you have your 1 personnel module, which goes in the stern. So you have your choice. the modularity on this thing, I don't know if it actually works yet. I have a retaliator, but it's an in-game retaliator. So we know that I haven't seen anywhere where the modules are for sale in-game yet. And I don't think that's going to happen for a little bit. But they go, Mike.
I was gonna make a suggestion. To me, the tally has always been a bomber of some type.
Yeah.
And I think you have the smartest play if you were going to do this as a pure bomber, would either get both the bombing modules or one cargo and a bombing module, because you could stack those torpedoes in the cargo bay, and then you can move them from the cargo bay into a loading sequence.
With the with the physicalization, yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be the smart play, but that's just me. I could also see this being a good stealth dropship. For sure. But that's just my opinion on that.
But I mean, it's finally here. The modularity is here, and this is the base. So the next step now is to go to the Galaxy, because the Galaxy is slated after the Polaris. And they've already had their modules for sale. But the one module that they're waiting for now, that we're all waiting for, is the manufacturing module that will go on the Galaxy. That's the next step. So when the Galaxy goes live, hopefully we'll see the modules at the same time.
Yeah, probably. Probably. I know that I'm putting on a... I have all the modules for the Galaxy. So what's hard for me to choose is I just got initially I just got the cargo because I was like, oh, well, I'm a cargo trader. But then I realized with the Galaxy's modularity, I could literally go one of three directions, right? And I'm like, well, not a lot of us actually manufacture things, but a lot of us scavenge. I could throw on the manufacturer's module.
Yeah.
And then as people salvage, and if they're done with the salvage, I could literally take what they're doing, or if they're mining, I can take what they have, and I just take it and refine it myself and sell it off.
With the refinery module, yeah.
Yeah, I buy the materials from them, and then I go sell it off for markup. And then people mining or salvaging don't have to leave that area. They just continue doing that. They get paid more frequently, and then I can sell in bulk. The other side of that is if we're doing combat missions like PvE stuff where like we're doing the distribution centers, I can use my medical module as a large capacity heal station for everybody.
Right.
Until the Apollo comes out, of course.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I like about the whole modular idea, is being able to pick and choose what you need and want.
But you and I also talked about this too. When the Galaxy first came out, that for this ship to be really realistic, okay, in some aspects, it's going to take time to transfer those modules out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to know what you're going to be doing with that ship for that specific amount of time. And then when you go to change it, that ship is going to be out of service until that module's installed. So,
right, and
yeah,
who knows how long that's going to take, right? But it should take a while. I think it should take 30 minutes to swap a module, to be real.
Well, for that, but it could take a day. We don't know. But to swap something out, that ship is going to have to be dry docked and stored for the module to be changed over and then brought back into service.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out.
We'll see. I just agree that it should take time to swap out for sure.
Right. Okay, so you have all of your modules, and they are for sale. So you have the Retaliator with all the modules. Now, that's not a bad price. That's war bonds. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have your different packs, which I'm glad they did this. And now with all the modules, with everything, a $400 pack price. That's that's pretty good. Even has the concepts in there. So now you've got your add-ons. $30 for a cargo module. Okay. And then the cargo module stern, $30. Then you've got your torpedoes, bow, 75, and $50 for the rear.
I do wonder.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I do wonder how many SCUs those torpedoes take up. Because if you can fit another 4 or 6 in the bow cargo,
Yeah.
then you can have 2 payloads full of torpedoes, which is a lot, especially if you're hitting something heavy like say you're fighting Nidris or something with a fleet. That's gonna make a difference.
Now, this is interesting. The standalone right now, ILW is 175. That is the price of a Firebird war bond. It's 180. The Firebird is 180 standalone. So that's not a bad price for the ship, but in game right now, if you have an in game Retaliator, there is nothing there. So people that already have the Retaliator and they bought the bomber version, okay, and they're waiting for these to come. There is something going on with that right now, but CIG is working on it where you will have your modules. Okay, so any more? Hey, Tribunal, how you doing? So, any more thoughts on the Retaliator?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, go
One
ahead.
more thought.
Go ahead.
When engineering comes into gameplay, do you need engineers to make the module switches?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
I think it's going to go one of two ways. Either you're going to have to, as an engineer, swap them out. So you have to call them up in the freight elevator and then do it yourself. Or you send it down in the hangar to be swapped out automatically, and that'll take time. So I think one of those two options are probably what's going to happen. But good call, Everett.
Well, yeah, that's a very good one. I like I say, I have one in game, and when this came about, that ship has no weapons except for the turrets, so it's basically just a gunship right now. We'll see what happens. Eventually, like I said, the modules will be purchasable in game. We just don't know when. And I'm thinking most likely IAE when they'll be purchasable in game. It's what, 3 patch cycles around there. So we should see it then, hopefully. Okay. Last but not least, the Ironclad. Now we watched the video. I found this, like I said, I'm not a major fan of Drake ships. Never have been since I've been in the game. But this ship, I am going to purchase. I do have
The T-shirt.
No, I'm not wearing a T-shirt. But anyway,
Okay.
I do have a cat in game, and I use it as a pocket carrier. I do have a vulture, which is a very essential ship for salvage when you're starting out. And I do have a Cutlass Red for my rescues. Those are the only Drake ships that I have. But this ship right here, this is one that I recommend highly for people that want to make that next step in cargo. Definitely a buy.
Especially the dangerous regions.
Yes. When you're going to Pyro, this ship is going to be very, very essential. That's my thought on it. Mike, you got a thought?
Um, my thoughts on the Ironclad steer towards a bit different of an well, not maybe different, maybe the same, I should say. Um, I'm there are some Drake ships I'm not a fan of. I see their utility, but I don't like the Vulture is a great utility vehicle in scavenging. I love the Vulture. You know, I think it hit it out of the park, out of the gate. Um, I don't like cutlasses. I'm not a fan of them. I love their cutters. I think the cutters
Oh,
are
the
amazing.
cutter's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the Caterpillar is a good ship. It's a great cargo hauler. In fact, you know, it's also a mini. Since the release of those Mirais,
Yeah.
it's a great carrier.
It is. It is.
But let's take a look at the ideology of what the Ironclad is. The Ironclad is a Drake bigger hauler, bigger cargo hauler than the Caterpillar, which is crazy to me. I think the design was perfect for cargo hauling because it has everything that you want as a cargo hauler. It's got tractor beams where they need to be. It's got an open top. It's got a ramp in front. It's got the gantries all the way down the side. You have the overseer's spot, the command deck in a perfect position.
Yes.
This, I feel, is what the Caterpillar was supposed to be. And I'm glad we got the Cat, and I'm glad we are getting this. I definitely rate this an S tier cargo ship, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Easily. And I think that, especially if you can impress Salty Mike on a concept alone, you're doing it right. So, I think that having the variants, I've said it before that, especially last year during one of our big meetings, was essentially if you have variants of ships that can fill roles that are missing from those manufacturers, the better. So, essentially, this. I don't want to take the claim of this makes other ships redundant because I don't believe that.
No.
But what it does do is it does separate those other ships into being something else. So, for example, the C2, it pushes the C2 out of the cargo hauling experience, simply for the fact that the C2 is better at hauling objects like vehicles, large components of things, stuff like that, like actual large things that need to be encapsulated, and can be brought down by that need to go in the back, come in the front, you know, that kind of thing. The reason why it pushes it out of the materials and commodities trading is because the 1536 SCU of cargo.
Oh yeah.
That is an insane amount of cargo you're getting for a $400 to $500 ship.
Yes.
Give or take. That is nuts. It's the same thing that happened when the Hull A came out. Every other ship that could cargo haul in that price range got pushed out of the way because the Hull A was able to haul way more than many others. And I'm going to fight against the whole idea that the Hull C has been displaced, and I'm going to fight against the idea that other trading ships have been displaced. So there are other good, like the Caterpillar hasn't been displaced easily. It's not been displaced because right there, Caterpillar is still good at trading. It's 500 plus SEUs. The Herrick can still trade very well, but it's not a dedicated trading ship. So it's the same thing. Cat can outtrade a Carrick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, both the Cat and the Ironclad can land on planets where the Hull C can't.
Right, and this is an important thing. That's why I said it's not pushing away the Hull C, because the Hull C is the Ironclad can move high value materials planet to planet.
Mm-hmm.
The Hull C will move large amounts of low value commodities station to station. That's the major difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, the C2, don't get me wrong, I love my C2. And I'll still do my trades in it. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, sure.
it won't be the premiere once this comes out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my whole C will never go away. It is always, or not my whole C, my C2 will always be in my fleet because of the fact that what I do, and I start out with a smaller ship and build up.
Yep.
And once I get past a certain point of having AUEC where I have a cushion, then I start going into the larger ship. That's just my strategy for it. And, you know, I do now have a reclaimer. So, with that reclaimer, you know, I'll be able to still to do the CM and RMC or whatever. But if that ship becomes disabled, I do have another ship that can come and grab that cargo out of that ship and continue on its way. So the C2 will always have a place, no matter what. It's just not going to be the premier ship like it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got your whole C. Once the whole C works flawlessly, which we all know that SC is not flawless. There's always going to be issues. But once it works to the point where you can do everything like what it's supposed to do, a lot of people will get that ship back. And you'll see a lot more flying. But when Pyro comes, that ship is the Hull C is going to be a big thing because it's going to be going from one to the other. It's going to need escorts. It's going to need protection. So, and then the economy will balance out between the two, which I can't wait for, because once that's in place, once Pyro's in place, the economy is going to change and balance itself out. So you'll have two systems instead of just one. And that's going to make a big difference too. So, I mean, those are just my speculative thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say so. The C2 to me would be like when base building comes online. The C2 would be perfect for the base building.
Oh yes,
because you could deliver the vehicles that are required to build the place. That doesn't mean that the Ironclad can't, but it just means that I think the C2 would be more fitted to do it because you can drive up into it and then drive out.
Right.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
C2 also has a sleek, premium look to it. It looks like people have the money to support it, and it looks like it is rich.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about your aesthetic, too. If you love the aesthetic of A versus B, then that's what you go for.
Mm-hmm. And so, that, I mean, no matter what you do, it's all about your preference. And like I said, I'm not a massive Drake fan of Drake ships, but this ship, even in concept, this ship has impressed a lot of people, and me, like I say, I am impressed with this ship. This ship is going to be great, and Tribunal says I wouldn't be surprised if they fast track it for Pyro. They might.
It's designed for it.
Yeah, they might fast track this ship. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I there's some going on in chat right now. They're saying I'm concerned about the no retractable roof on the assault.
But that hasn't been confirmed or denied yet, so.
Yeah. That they shouldn't take that functionality away from that ship. To be,
I don't think they will.
No.
I think that more or less is just ambiguous right now. And if they do, what they should put there in place of is either extra shielding or extra armor there.
Mm-hmm. The one thing that the assault version does not have is tractor beams.
Yeah, and very well it shouldn't, because it's an assault vehicle. It's
right.
not a trade vehicle.
Right.
But it does have a utility mount, so maybe they can switch it out later.
Possibly.
Possibly. So, in conclusion, what do you guys think of the Invictus this week?
It was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be another lame duck Invictus, but I'm actually pretty happy with one, we get the actual roadmap on the Polaris, and then two, we get a nice surprise with the Ironclad. I honestly, I think the Ironclad and the Polaris news overshadowed the Saber.
The Firebird.
Firebird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but you and I talked about this, and I said something about this earlier. The medevac, it just stole it. It just stole RSI. Not away from the Polaris, but it was you and I talked about this almost 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where we said, we need this.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're getting into 323.2, where we're going to have our persistent hangars, be able to get our vehicles in the hangar, it's going to be monumental as far as I'm concerned. I can't wait for that functionality. The medevac need the wee woo lights? Yes, it does. I have to say, it does need wee woo lights.
And a couple of searchlights, too.
Yeah, a searchlight would be awesome on that ship. Mike, I was kind of flabbergasted because like I said, you and I had talked about this for a little bit, that we needed a medevac, and here it is finally. I'm excited. I've been excited for it ever since I saw it drop, and it is a very, very cool vehicle. I have tested it and spawned in it. I had equipment in it where I could put and it does give you a beacon suit when you respawn, which is a good thing. We were all wondering if that functionality was there, and yes, it does, and it's just great. So, any other questions, comments from anybody? Mike, you got your final thoughts?
No, just everybody enjoy and have fun.
Everett?
Just one. I'm glad to see UIC is listening to players mention stuff from a couple years ago and bringing it to reality.
Yes, yes.
Because someone must have heard you guys.
Well, John Cruz said when he in the ISC where um, people were asking him, Where's the medevac? Where's the medevac? Where's the medevac?" Well, here it is, and he said, "It is finally here." What's the purpose of the medevac beacon?
Are you talking
Okay,
about the beacon that you utilize in your mobiglass?
there's one we're supposed to get after Invictus, and I believe it's a handheld beacon that we can drop down and uh, have it the physical one, yeah, where we can actually have a physical medical beacon.
Oh, I wonder if it has a range.
I don't know.
Because I can see most of the smaller ships have a certain range for beaming people to regen. So
Maybe it's
maybe
maybe it's party related. I don't know all the particulars about that. You know what? Let's take a look. Uh, it was in a SC tracker. Hello,
How you guys doing?
what's going on?
Oh, I just thought I'd drop in, just say a quick hello.
Hey, what's up, Squirrel? How you been, man?
Lots and lots of overtime at work, but just probably gonna do a little bit of gaming before I leave for work. Caught up on my schoolwork so I can reward myself.
Nice. Where is that thing on that beacon?
All right. Y'all have a wonderful Sunday.
Hey,
Take care.
it
You
easy.
too,
Take
man.
it easy, man.
well, that was cool.
Let's see. Yeah, I believe that was in Spectrum. I'm gonna do a search real quick on that. Let's see.
I've been noticing that all these little ships have their certain range areas, so that I think what's going to happen is that you're not going to be automatically transported to your planet from a long range. You're going to more depend on the Apollo or the medevac, the smaller ships to get you there. I mean,
Uh huh.
get you there.
Medevac. What was it? Medevac BEACO. Let's see. There's medevac. It's all about the Apollo use scenario. Invictus medevac beacon. Here we go. Somebody actually. Okay, it's in the FAQ of the Invictus. No, somebody was typing it in. Let's see. Conventions. This launch week. Somebody was asking about it, but there was one specific post by Freya about the medevac beacon.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna have to step away for a while, so I'll be back.
All right, man. Okay, here's one. Okay, this one doesn't have any replies yet. But this was... No, that's not what I was looking for. Dang it. Medevac beacons. Oh, it's not giving me a whole lot of options there.
Yeah, I'm searching too.
There
was something mentioned about the EPTU med beacon that was displayed. And it looks like you'll get a UI prompt asking if you want to activate the beacon. It looks like a handheld hexagon device.
Yeah, that's the one. There was one that was my question is really in two parts. To receive the beacon as a reward, Invictus Yukumine. My other question is, will the beacon be functional off the bat, or will it be implemented later? Okay, this was 7 days ago. But there was something that showed the actual beacon itself. And I can't find it.
I've seen a Reddit post, and it shows the image of it. So I can drop that into the Discord.
Yeah, or you can drop it in the Snowbird chat as well.
Again? Okay. There we go. And
there was a promo image of it. I was trying to find.
There you are.
Thank you. Let's see. There it is. Okay, this is from... I'm going to put that in the YouTube chat. Okay, so this is... I'm going to click on that. Doggone it. I'm not having any luck. Okay, I'm going to put that up here in my other browser. Okay, there it is. Now, I didn't see this being utilized, but it was in EPTU. Interesting. How am I supposed to use if incapped? There's a lot of stuff already. But there was something from Freya about it as well. But supposedly we're supposed to get it after Invictus. So hopefully it'll be utilized by the Ursa Medevac and probably the C8R and the Cutlass Red. So we'll see how that works out.
Nice.
But anyway, that is the Snowbirds meeting room, catching up from the last time that I popped in and did some stuff with the Snowbirds meeting room. I used it in the EP. What's up, Joe?
It's Joe.
You used it in the EPTU and it's just a light? Okay. I never saw it. So that's interesting. But I appreciate you letting me know about that, Joe. Thank you. Other than that, that's pretty much the. You can find it in the distribution centers. Oh, cool. So that's pretty much the end of this Snowbirds meeting room. Thank you, Everett, for being here and sticking with me. And to Mike coming in and giving his thoughts on the Ironclad and talking, and a little bit of a welcome back to him. So that's what's going on with this. Was there anything else that you had in mind, Everett?
No, sir. I just thank you for allowing me to be here. I enjoyed it.
Oh, you're more than welcome anytime. So it is a big one. And the next thing we should see is 23.1a. And then we should see some interesting news coming on 23.2 in the next week. We should see some Evocati builds and hopefully EPTU and go from there. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I will be in game today doing some stuff, setting up a flyby filming and doing some stuff in game. So everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you next week. Everybody take care. Have a good one.